The Career Talent interview can feel brutal. You're staring into a webcam, you're all alone, and you know that every word is being recorded and your answers will be judged. In this video, I'm sharing the honest advice I give my own clients, no sugarcoating, just real answers to the most common questions I get, so you don't freeze, ramble, or blow your shot. Hi, I'm Caitlin Anderson, graduate admissions consultant and Oxford MBA who has helped hundreds of students win interviews and offers to all the top business schools in the world, including Harvard, Stanford, Oxford, MIT, and Yale, and win over $1 million in scholarships. Yes, you do need to practice for the Career Talent interview. It's like what James Clear says in his book, Atomic Habits. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Practicing helps you build the system you need to stay composed under pressure. I can tell you this is true from personal experience. I'm a former professional dance competitor, and we would spend hours every day practicing our routines to build a system we could rely on when we needed to perform in the moment. And I'll tell you, we never performed at the level of our goals. It was always at the level of where our system was in that moment. And the system could move forward the more practice that we gave. For the Career Talent interview, practicing will improve your confidence, your pacing, and your storytelling. It depends on how much experience you have with video interviews. It depends on the school's amount of time they give you to complete the interview. Sometimes you have 4 days, sometimes you have 7 days, sometimes you have 2 weeks, and it depends on how badly you want to get into the school. In general, I find that my students are well prepared after they spend about 4 to 6 hours with me, and then when they spend about the same amount of time on their own practicing. So as a minimum, I would recommend you spend about 10 hours of preparation for Kira. And if this is your dream school that we're talking about, then I personally would double it, because you want to give yourself every chance for making the Kira a strong part of your application, and you can get better at it the more you practice. So I want to tell you a story about how over-preparing really worked. I had an interview with a private equity firm in New York City many years ago to be the COO of their new venture capital vehicle. And I was nervous because I really wanted it. And so I called up my uncle, who's a successful businessman, and I asked him for advice on how to prepare for the interview. He asked me questions. He said, "What do you know about your interviewer? Where does he work? Did he write a book? If so, read it." And he had written a book about real estate, so after that call, I read that book cover to cover. I then understood this guy's background, I knew kind of his ideas within the space, and it allowed me to tailor my responses in the interview to appeal to him. And ultimately it led to the offer. So in any situation, especially in this situation, you want to do way more than anyone else around you is going to be willing to do. And that's when you're going to see the result. So for Kira, I would recommend that you be strategic with your practice and do 4 to 6 timed questions per day and record yourself. So you can then review the recording and see what could be improved. Do you have too many filler words? Could you improve your clarity? What about your structure? And then make changes and do it again. I would, because even safety schools give scholarships based on the quality of your application. Also, you never know who's watching and how close you are to the cutoff. I would treat every school like it matters, because you're also building interviewing skills that you're going to use in the future. I would do the Kira Talent interview at the latest possible time you can before the deadline the school gives you. So if you're given a week, I would do it maybe on day 6. That would be the optimal day so that you're not waiting to the day 7 and maybe you have issues and then you miss a deadline. You don't ever want to get in that situation. So I would say probably day 6 is the best day. And the reason you wait that long is you give yourself as much time as possible to prepare. Now, I always think about this book that I read many years ago by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink. And it talks about how in every situation we go into, we are taking in all of this information subconsciously that filters in to be a gut feeling or reaction to something or someone in a situation. And that is why first impressions matter. You want to choose a time of day when you are sharp, calm, and confident. You need to be strategic with the Kira Talent interview. It's not a task that you want to rush. Small context shifts like lighting and the time of day and your energy levels will change your outcomes. 100% yes on this one. You want to tell stories in your responses to the Kira questions that come from different parts of your background. And I usually tell my students to think of 2 to 3 stories from these 4 buckets: academic, professional, extracurriculars, and volunteering. And when you do, use the STARL method to talk through those stories so that you could use them for evidence for different kinds of Kira questions. The reason that we vary your experiences across these 4 buckets is because we want to show the admissions committee that, number 1, you are prepared, so you've taken the time to think about different stories to tell them about you. And we want, number 2, them to know that you have a variety of interesting and impressive experiences, because you do. We just want to make sure they see it. This one's a fair question because I had several students in the past cycle apply to Imperial College, and in the Kira interview, they were given 5 seconds to read a question and then the camera came on. So if that happens to you and you're not finished reading the question before the camera starts, the best thing to do is to wait. Finish reading, finish thinking about how you want to start your answer, and then open your mouth and begin talking. The reason is because you're not being graded on answering immediately when the camera comes on, but you are being graded on how you handle yourself under pressure when things aren't going your way. Many of my students are non-native English speakers. So just a couple weeks ago, I had a student from Brazil who had a Kira Talent interview we were practicing for, and she was using a lot of filler words. She was saying, like, and I made her aware of that. And she said, it's really tough for me because English is not my native language. So when I'm trying to pick a word that I don't normally use on a daily basis to make my point, it's hard. I have to take a moment to think of what that word is. And actually, my husband is a non-native English speaker as well, and he's told me the same thing. So what I can tell you is if that's an issue, instead of using a filler word like or like, you should just pause. Allow the silence, and that will then look more confident. You won't be scrambling and rushing. And it will look like you're in charge of the situation, which is going to be a great thing to communicate to the admissions committees. I love what Simon Sinek says about pausing. He says, it's impossible to speak too slowly. People will wait for what you have to say. Pausing is one of the most powerful tools that we have as speakers. So even if you're a native English speaker, speak slowly, pause when you need to, and choose clarity over speed. That wraps it up for today's questions. If you have other questions, please drop them in the comments. I will make another video answering them. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe because it'll help keep the channel alive. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.